Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Anybody who's had anything to do with Yogi Bhajan, 3HO, or Kundalini Yoga really needs to read this new article that just came out in the Sikh Free Press. Now, in this article, there are never before revealed documents from the 1970s that show conclusively that Yogi Bhajan lied and committed fraud against all of his students and everybody that he was around. Now, I first want to commendate Anju Kar, who wrote this article and spent 1 year of intensive research interviewing many former and present followers of Yogi Bhajan, people who were around Yogi Bhajan when he used to live in Punjab. And she delved into the history of what Yogi Bhajan's family was like and all of these different aspects around Yogi Bhajan. So the article is definitely worth a read. Now, I was with Yogi Bhajan's group for 30 years, as many of you know. You can see me here in the brown jacket here in a group with Yogi Bhajan in the early 80s. So I experienced what Yogi Bhajan said. And when I read this article, it took me days just to collect myself in order to really speak about the frauds that Yogi Bhajan committed. I feel very betrayed that Yogi Bhajan lied about this title of being Sri Singh Sahib. It's a completely made up title by him. He misdirected us in these practices, these tantric yoga practices, which are not part of Sikhi at all. And he just generally misled us. And he must have been aware that he was committing these frauds. He was sent letters by the Jathedar of the Akal Takhat admonishing him and telling him to change his ways. This was in 1979 that he received these letters. And the result was that since Yogi Bhajan never changed and he never admitted his frauds, he got us students involved in all of these tantric yogas, worshiping of idols, these occult practices, which are completely, like I said, against Sikhi. It makes me very upset that Yogi Bhajan, who was supposed to be what we thought of as our spiritual teacher, actually kept us away from Sikhs and just had us under his spell in this Yogi Bhajan cult. Now you'll see after reading this article how deceptive and just how damaging these teachings of Yogi Bhajan were. It wasn't until 2009 that I really started to understand these frauds of Yogi Bhajan. And it wasn't just not until I read this article that I had seen the full extent of his frauds. He mistranslated Gurbani, making us think that these tantric practices were part of Sikhi. It just really makes me very sad. And now we have these people in 3HO that are continuing to go along with this. I really call out to those people who are in 3HO who are aware of these frauds to come forward and come clear. Especially Yogi Bhajan's wife, this Inderjeet Puri. You can see her here doing these pujas with Yogi Bhajan there at the Pramatnya Kirtan ashram. This was before Yogi Bhajan passed away. Yogi Bhajan did these pujas, and now his students are doing Hindu weddings and all kinds of other Shiva practices there at the Paramatnya Kirtan ashram. They chant these Shiva mantras, and frankly, it's getting worse and worse all the time. So if Indrajit Kaur Puri doesn't come forward and expose these lies of Yogi Bhajan and how he misled people, then she will have to live with this for the rest of her life and answer to Waheguru. Just listen to these Shiva mantras they're chanting here. This Guru Singh is chanting. So what's happened is the Yogi Bhajan people have got more and more into these Shiv Shakti worships, these Hindu Vata practices. It's because Yogi Bhajan led them into these things and misled us, mistranslated Gurbani, making us think that the Sikh gurus did yoga. Couldn't be any farther from the truth. And these leaders in Yogi Bhajan's group continue this fraud. They're just as culpable as Yogi Bhajan was. Read this article. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.